Hey, bud, what'd you think, man? Let me know some things about what can we expect from you?
Fireworks.
Fireworks. You ready, bud?
That's the fight that everybody want to see.
Yeah.
I want to do it.
Do you respect him as like when he's like, I got a couple fights left, I'm at the end, I'm only trying to get mega fights, so
I understand.
Terence Crawford answered Jaron Ennis' challenge for a fight at the super middleweight division for all his belts and accepted the offer. It became the most shocking response from Crawford, since he had never once entertained talks about stepping into the ring with Jaron Ennis.
Man, like I said before, that's my obligation in the contract, and I gotta honor that if that's the next move for me in my career.
However, during an interview while preparing for his upcoming fight, he revealed he was ready to step into the super middleweight division if that meant Crawford granting him a title shot, declaring he was set for a 2026 showdown. This would place him in the same path as Terence Crawford, who rose from the welterweight division, faced one rival at 154, and then jumped directly into the super middleweight division.
Terence Crawford against Jaron Ennis, for me, is the best fight in American boxing. But it needs to be a payday for Crawford that would get him interested, because Crawford knows how good Boots is. And I'm not saying that Crawford thinks he's going to lose to Boots, but he knows that is a real fight. But for me, Boots is the new Crawford.
Interestingly, Terence Crawford held a victory parade in his hometown of Omaha just hours later, and when he was interviewed afterward about Jaron Ennis' bold claims, he made his willingness clear. Beyond that, he fired direct words at Jaron Ennis, urging him to take the steps if he truly wants the fight. If it's at 168, then he should send the contract. I'll do that at 168 without doubt. This was later confirmed by Jaron Ennis' promoter, Eddie Hearn, who declared it the greatest fight in boxing.
Without him, really wanting to fight and putting forth the effort into doing what he can do along with me to get this fight done, we wouldn't be fighting. So it's only right that I give him that same,
I want and I need. So after I do my thing, Saturday night and be victorious, I feel like it's only big name fights from here on out. Only main event headlines and pay-per-view pay-per-view fighting. So that's my goal.
Your skills. Matchroom boxing head Eddie Hearn revealed that talks were underway for Crawford to face former unified welterweight champion Jaron Ennis, who is preparing for his 154 kg debut on October 11th against Wisma Lima. Terence Crawford versus Jaron Ennis, in my eyes, is the greatest fight in American boxing, Hearn told reporters on Wednesday. But Crawford needs the right payday to be tempted, because he knows just how dangerous Boots is. I'm not saying Crawford believes he'll lose to Boots, but he recognizes this is a true test. For me, Boots is the new Crawford. We just need the fights that will prove how great he is.
Fight that makes a whole lot of sense, and the fight that stylistically would be, oh my goodness, is a fight between Terence Crawford and Jaron Boots Ennis.
I don't think I think that's going backwards for Terence.
To that point, Jaron doesn't have the kind of accolades. He doesn't sell to the mass and all these. So this fight was perfect timing for both these guys.
During Crawford's post-fight press conference, when the idea was raised as a possible future clash, the 5-division champion first said he wouldn't face Ennis because he isn't going back to the junior middleweight division. For the fight to happen, Ennis would need to agree on another weight with Crawford. The issue is that Crawford will only step in for huge money, and there are just a few fights that bring that kind of payday. Hearn explained, "You're dealing with a different beast in Terence Crawford, a man whose fight IQ is on another level. You need deep experience and sharp schooling to even compete with him, and that's exactly why I said I like the Boots fight."
A roller coaster, but we made it to the top. No matter how we made it, and it's definitely a test to say that anything is possible if you work hard at it and you believe in yourself and you have the faith.
Ennis was once a 147 IBF mandatory challenger for Crawford, before stepping up to 154 pounds last year to defeat Israel Madramov for the World Boxing Association title. With that victory, Ennis was elevated by the sanctioning body from interim to full champion, and later went on to claim both the ring and WBA championships by stopping IA Stenionis in April. While preparing for Lima, Ennis also doubled as a refined sparring partner for Alvarez as he sharpened himself for Crawford.
Yeah. But don't lie or kept to the net and make it seem like I had the opportunity to fight you and I didn't. I never did. You know what I'm saying? And then that one time that I did, we said they called and we said we never heard nothing else back about it. So
right.
I mean, I respect it though. I mean, get your money. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing. But don't be capping on the net.
But the intense training still couldn't lift Alvarez to that next level, as the Mexican star admitted after defeat that his body had let him down. It was a spectacular performance from Terence Crawford. Hearn said, "I feel gutted for Canelo, yet I'm genuinely glad that Crawford now has the stage to prove just how great he is, because his resume hasn't truly reflected it. Don't get me wrong, he's had some strong victories, but he could have conquered so many more of the elite fighters from his generation. To pull this off at 38 is remarkable."
The Crawford-Canelo fight. Were you surprised by the outcome?
It's boxing, anything happen.
No doubt. My other question for you is, with this win, everybody's saying Crawford elevated his status. He's the GOAT. Do you think this win puts him on Mount Rushmore or makes him a GOAT in boxing?
Everybody got their own opinion.
We often have a tendency to retire fighters too soon. I believe it would be a great way to step away. But I honestly think Crawford could still move down and capture a world title at 160, making him a 6th-division champion. Canelo Alvarez wanted that victory with everything he had, but Terence Crawford refused to play along. Over 70,000 fans packed Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, and more than 41 million watched live on Netflix, as Crawford secured a close yet convincing win over Alvarez.
Brooks Park, South Philly.
Yeah.
All right, so they'll kill me if I don't ask you, right?
What?
Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford wins unanimous decision victory.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on the fight?
I was trying to stay up. It was getting too late, yo. It was like, I think by the time they came on, it was probably 1 o'clock or something like that.
It was like 1 and some change.
I trained.
Among the millions watching was Jaron Ennis. The 28-year-old fighter from Philly has called out Crawford time and again. He's also been measured against the future Hall of Famer. Just weeks before Alvarez wrapped up camp, he brought in the switch-hitting Ennis. Because of that, Jaron Ennis faced backlash for siding with Canelo over Crawford in the fight. And despite the noise from countless boxing experts, here's what he had to say.
We got a couple more days and y'all gonna see Canelo fighting Crawford, so I ain't got no comment on who gonna win the fight, you dig? If Crawford do what he's supposed to do, he got an option. If he don't beat Canelo. Simple as that.
When asked about the experience, as his camp with Canelo marked only his second time training outside Philadelphia, he described it with pure joy. Just having fun being in there with Canelo, who's got 67 fights, felt surreal. Sharing the ring with him was something special. He said he loved everything about it. Getting away, sparring, fishing, spending time with his brother, just enjoying life. Moving up in weight, he wanted something different, and he found it. When pressed if he truly enjoyed his time in camp, his answer was simple. Why not? If you can share the ring with Canelo, a Hall of Famer, a legend, the very face of boxing, the sparring is priceless. I had a great time. I loved every moment in there with Canelo.
A guy of that caliber?
Yeah, why not? Why not you be able to share the ring with, with Canelo and like I said, being there with a Hall of Famer, legend, and the face of, kind of like the face of boxing, why not?
Speaking about how his sparring with Canelo went viral and how fans reacted, he said, "I already knew it was going to blow up. The moment we posted that picture, I thought, yeah, this is going everywhere. You could even say it makes the fight more exciting, because now everyone wants to tune in a little closer. Honestly, I don't care about the backlash. I won't lie. I went out there for myself to start my first 2 weeks of camp with elevation and everything. This was about me, not about anyone else." He added,
I think Crawford's going to get the job done. I am officially picking Crawford to win this fight. It is still 50-50, but obviously...
He says that till he goes to Canelo.
I'm obviously going to say that this is a 60-40 fight, and I have Crawford winning this fight. Crawford's going to win this fight doing something that nobody's done to Canelo.
Okay.
This is going to help Canelo. He's sparring against a great fighter, world champion in Ennis, and like I said
And
before,
maybe it
iron
will.
sharpens iron, and maybe it
Maybe
will.
it will.
But on the other side, it was interesting to hear your side of how, whether it's the overtraining or I think more the mental side. What if Boots is getting the best of him? How does that affect Canelo going into this fight? Why would you want to even put that doubt in your fighter's head going into such a...
Legendary boxing analyst Teddy Atlas, however, warned that bringing Jaron Boots Ennis into camp could backfire on the Mexican star. Atlas believed that going rounds with a fighter like Ennis might drain Alvarez before stepping into the ring on September 13th.
He's not me.
Yeah.
You know, as much as a lot of people, you know, say we have similarities and, you know, we switch a lot and we fight a lot. He's not me, you know, and I'm not him. So.
Yeah. Tim had said comparison that like he's like a Chrysler 300.
Preparations were in full swing on both sides, but the spotlight on Alvarez's camp came from his sparring with Jaron Boots. Canelo's choice was clear. He wanted rounds with an elite fighter to make sure he was fully prepared for Crawford. Yet, not everyone agreed with the move.
And now, I think Boots brought the best out of Canelo. I don't know how many rounds they may have sparred, if it's true, but if it is true, I'm assuming that Boots may have brought the best out of Canelo Alvarez in that sparring. Showed him different looks, the switch hitting. I'm pretty sure they probably wanted Boots to, you know, emulate Crawford or just to be who he is.
What's yours?
My opinion is I like who I like. You know, I like Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker. I'm liking Sugar Ray Leonard. I've been watching a little bit of Sugar Ray Leonard, James Tony. So they my top like guys that I've been watching. You know?
I don't want him leaving everything in the gym. I don't want him dragged into that kind of war in sparring. With my fighter, who's already been through 65 battles, I wouldn't risk it. I'd choose the moments carefully for Canelo, maybe 1 or 2 days to sharpen him, but only in spots against someone that sharp, Atlas explained, voicing his concern that Alvarez's age might finally be catching up. Crawford may be older, but Canelo has far more miles on his body. Sparring with Ennis only piles on more rounds. The real question now, will Alvarez show signs of fatigue when the lights come on fight night?
I think that I would want too many highly put it this way, I'll get right to the point. I wouldn't want wars with my guy who's been in 65 fights or 60 whatever, and is at that, 34 years old.
Never! Always. This is crazy, Chester.
I just didn't want to see
Chester.
I didn't want to see
Chester. You got a Team Crawford shirt on, hoodie on, but you going against me? You going against me? What'd he say, Red?
I said don't get scared.
No. What'd he say?
He said you just want to see him lose.
Thank you.
Even with the extra help, Alvarez had almost no answers as Crawford boxed all 12 rounds from the southpaw stance. And while facing Crawford remains his biggest ambition, Ennis could only tip his hat to the champion's performance. It was a brilliant win for Crawford and a huge night for boxing. Ennis told YSM Sports Media, "It was a good win. He reached a historic milestone. Good win for him." But even after enjoying the fight as a fan, Ennis quickly turned back to his own path. The former unified welterweight champion recently vacated his ring, WBA, and WBC belts, and is now fully focused on reclaiming gold at 154 pounds.
I trained twice that day. I was like, I'm gonna just try to stay up. And the fight before that was...
And Billy Martinez.
I was watching like 1 or 2 rounds of that. They was going at it. So I wanted to falling asleep. I'm like, yo, I can't stay up no longer. I just wanted to fall asleep. But that was a great one for Crawford. Go.
His debut in the new weight class comes on October 11th when he faces Wissam Lima at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. With the chance to make a statement and seize a secondary belt in the process, Ennis is itching for fight night to arrive. "I'm feeling great," he said. "It's almost time. I'm ready to put on a show. Expect a dominant performance and a beautiful knockout."
Then on Thursday and Friday, when I saw Canelo in the vest, I was like, nah. I was like, no, he's gonna pull it off here. And it was an amazing performance by Terence Crawford. I'm gutted for Canelo, but I'm actually pleased that Crawford is getting the opportunity to show how great he is, because his resume hasn't really allowed that. Don't get me wrong, he's got some
On
good...
the eve of his 38th birthday, Terence "Bud" Crawford wasn't just celebrated, he was immortalized. A hometown parade pulled in nearly 20,000 fans, flooding the streets in a wave of blue and gold, with Crawford shining at the heart of a spectacle few fighters in history ever see. Seated on a throne atop a semi, Crawford lifted his hand high to an ecstatic crowd. In the blur of cheers and flashing cameras, he later sent out a short but powerful tweet. Just 6 words, yet they carried a declaration. His roots, his city, and his legacy were bigger than any single fight. Crawford's victory over Canelo Alvarez earlier this month in Las Vegas had already dominated headlines, but this homecoming pushed it to an entirely new level. Nebraskans filled the streets, families poured out by the thousands, and the celebration carried the weight of a hero's coronation. After all, only a handful in boxing history have ever been crowned undisputed in multiple divisions. Yet even as Crawford stood tall in the middle of the jubilation, there was an unspoken sense of finality. At 38, whispers grew louder. Was the Canelo fight his last act? In interviews, Crawford made it clear the showdown was never about chasing paydays, but about cementing legacy. Reflecting on the days when critics questioned his career choices, he said, "It's crazy, because when I was with Top Rank, so many people claimed I was broke, said this and that, but I was making good money. The truth is, I don't need boxing. I could retire anytime. Most of you box because you have to. I box because I love it."
A moment following a once-in-a-lifetime fight. .42-0, waving to the crowd, pumping his fists like he does so well.
And a kid on his lap, I love it.
Guys, I'm having a hard time hearing you, but it's hard to hear anything because it is loud. The city of Omaha is out. Bud Crawford making his way to the heartland of America Park. Bill,
what's yours?
My opinion is I like who I like. You know, I like Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, Bernard Whitaker. I'm liking Sugar Ray Leonard. I've been watching a little bit of Sugar Ray Leonard. Dave Tony. So they my top like guys that I've been watching.
Fair enough. Last question on the topic. Is that a fight, because you know people want to know, is that a fight that you still are interested in? Or you moved on? You moved on from wanting to fight Crawford. Is it still a fight that you have interest in?
My main focus right now is October 11th. That's all I'm worried about. October 11th. I ain't worried about no outsiders. You know, I like that. That's how.
100 years from now, they'll still be saying, "Remember that kid from Omaha, Nebraska, Bud Crawford? He climbed not 2 but 3 divisions and beat Canelo Alvarez." And with conviction, my name will still be echoed, still talked about long after I'm gone. That's what legacy truly means. Crawford's words carried a personal weight, and the decades ahead will decide if that promise endures. But Omaha, on this day, already seemed convinced. This wasn't some ordinary victory parade. It was the merging of identity, memory, and destiny. His home state had become his amplifier, his city his co-writer. Meanwhile, it's no secret that Ennis has long struggled to make the 147-pound limit, a struggle that pushed his move to junior middleweight. I think the real question is whether Boots stays at 147. If I'm being honest, Hearn told Boxing Scene.
I figured it being so close to the fight too as well. You know, you're kind of like tunnel vision when it comes to your opponent. And the only reason why I ask is because, you know, Turkey had mentioned that if Teo gets past Barboza, we could see a fight with you and Teofimo. I know Top Rank tried to make that fight as well. So I was just curious now, like, what do you think of Teofimo as a fighter?
Yeah, good fighter. You know, good fighter. That's about it.
Stanionis's performance was strong, though the medical numbers weren't ideal. And that makes things tricky, because I think Boots believes he'll shine far brighter up at 154. The only reason he stayed put before was to unify, and now he's done that. It leaves him with a tough choice. We like the Teofimo Lopez fight, and if he holds on at 147, that's the one you'll likely see. But if not, then the move to 154 is inevitable. With Brian Norman set to fight in Japan this July and Barrios facing Pacquiao, The unification options just aren't there. Boots is a rare case. He added, I won't say he's not money motivated. Of course he is. But what really drives him is legacy. He's even willing to put his body through the grind of 147 just for the unification. The Teo fight is different, but it's massive. We'll have to decide soon.
That's about it?
Yeah, he a good fighter. That's about it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were going to add or anything like that.
No. I say he a good fighter. That's about it.
Okay. Brian Norman Jr. got a knockout win. I know you guys tried to make a fight previously. He had mentioned in a group huddle with us that he just didn't like being cornered in his opinion, when it came to that fight. Just, you know what happened.
Ennis brought in a nutritionist to help him cut weight more smoothly for his fight with Stanonis. On fight night, he looked massive compared to Stanonis and completely dominated. Still, Hearn admitted the weight cut remained a challenge. It probably wasn't as tough as the Karen Chukagian fight, he said. But a lot of people noticed during the week just how drained he looked at the weight. It's not that he was dead on the scales for Stanonis, far from it. But asking him to keep dragging himself down to 147 again and again is a massive demand.
That fight, Jaron, just give us your perspective on that and him saying those comments.
I ain't gonna lie, I don't even know what you're talking about. I've been so locked in and zoned in on what I got going on. I ain't been worrying about nobody else doing nothing. Like, I just been going to the gym, training, locking in books and things like that, even coloring a little bit. I'm just so focused on what I got going on. I really ain't been on social media. I post whatever I post
And it's not just about whether he can make the weight. It's whether he can make it and still perform at his absolute best. Even in the Stanonis fight, he admitted that wasn't the strongest, most powerful version of himself, which is wild. Because I thought he looked unbelievable. But this is exactly what you'll see from him at 154. Someone carrying even more power, even though he's already dangerous at 147. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on boxing news, moments, events, and action, stay locked in by subscribing to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss when we drop quality content like this. Until next time, peace out.